Hi. Hello. How's everyone doing? It's Sunday. Yeah. So thank you for hanging out with me on a Sunday night because it's TGIS, and hopefully we get to see some hella dope after this. First and foremost, Jason is first to the party. Even though he didn't say first, we're bringing that back. We're bringing that back. And very quickly, Ted Darklaw sends a $5 super chat. Thank you very much, Ted, and says, ready to rock. Ted, I saw some photos that you're just chilling on the couch that you were watching Will and Jim Largo earlier, and that's pretty rad, man. You gotta take care of you. So that's awesome. Thank you for the super chat. Thank you all for being here, hanging out on an awesome Sunday evening. We're gonna talk some news, we're gonna talk some rumors, we're gonna talk some trash. And in order to do that, tonight, I have the distinct pleasure of having the king of Sting, the master of memes, Mr. Chaz the Guru. What's up, dude?
What's up? What's up?
How you doing?
Good, dude. Just chill on a Sunday. What time is it there, man?
It is 5 p.m. Mountain Standard Time.
Oh, what city are you in, dude?
Albuquerque.
Oh, you're pretty close, man. I'm in SoCal.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, so I'm close to Disneyland, so that's why I post a lot of stuff from Disneyland.
I was just in Disneyland, and I think I told you this. You posted some Disneyland stuff, and I was like, man, the kiddo and I were just there.
Yeah. I remember that. You posted that you were just there. I think you're coming out of maybe Rise of the Resistance or something like that.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah, that it was like dead or something.
Yeah. That was cool. Yeah, I just went Thursday and got on the Rise of the Resistance, so that was pretty fun. So awesome. It's always good. That's the main ride I always want to go on because I just never get sick of it. The other ones, it's like every once in a while you go on it, but that one is such an awesome ride, man.
I like how they put you in that transport and then they do the whole screens and motion control, and then you go out the other side and you're someplace else. That's pretty cool. I like how
it's like a whole experience, man. You're getting everything, you're
and the walkers. You come into that one room.
Yeah, man, like you're walking, like even the line is an experience, right? When you're going in, it's pretty cool. So it's the best ride in the park for sure, and at both parks actually. So
when it works,
when it works,
it doesn't break down as much anymore, though. It used to break down a lot.
Yeah, like when we went to during COVID times, we went to Disney World, and this was right before it opened up in Disneyland, so we didn't have it yet, and so you had to like get up at 7 a.m. or something like that and try to get a boarding pass, and that didn't work. You had to get it at 2. So we tried, so we were going to that park I think 2 days, and so we missed the whole first day. Then the second day we tried at 7 a.m. My wife couldn't get it. Then I think it was like 2 o'clock. You tried again, and we got a backup pass or something, so it wasn't guaranteed. And we were like the last ones getting on the ride. We got lucky that it didn't break down because it got enough people through that had the boarding passes where we were able to go. So I mean, I would have been pissed off because that was like the main reason I wanted to go. So, but yeah, it worked out.
I'm a big fan of the classics. Like I love Haunted Mansion when it's Haunted Mansion. Not that I have anything against Nightmare Before Christmas, but it's like I'm kind of a purist when it comes to like macaroni and cheese. I don't want like meat in it or anything like that. And I'm a purist when it comes to my haunted mansion, and I really love the Matterhorn. I like Big Thunder Mountain, but I like Big Thunder Mountain in Florida better than California because it's just bigger. You know, they had more space to build it.
Yeah, what's it called there? Because they isn't that the one they have the seven dwarves, right?
Well, that's the Seven Dwarves Mine Train or something like that.
Yeah,
But
is that different than Thunder Mountain?
no, it's a different ride. They still have Big Thunder Mountain in
Oh,
Adventureland in Florida.
because I don't think we went to Thunder Mountain over there, but
And then they I don't know if you've ridden it because you've just been to Disneyland recently. Did you go on that whatever it is, the Mickey and Minnie's Runaway Train or whatever in Toontown? That was pretty fun.
Yeah, it's really cool. We did that in Florida too because it was open there already, and it hadn't even been built yet over here in Disneyland.
And they just stuck it in there in Disneyland. They, all of that storefront was already there. They just kind of made a new entrance into it.
Yeah, they kind of like shoehorned it in the back. They carved out the back of it. Yeah. I don't know what back there was. Whatever was back there, it's not there now. But that's actually a really cool ride because it uses the same technology as the Rise with the trackless carts, right? So pretty amazing, man. Pretty amazing.
Yeah, and I like at the end of that Runaway Train how it comes back together at the end, and then Goofy saves the day and whatever.
Yeah. Hey, the people that are watching, you guys didn't know you're watching a live stream about Disneyland and Disney World. We're going to talk about everything Mickey tonight.
Oh, look, we can be WDW Pro. Hold on a second. Welcome to WDW Pro, where you never see people's faces. No. Boomerang Collectibles says Chaz hooks me up with so many sales and cool stuff. I appreciate you. What's up, Chad? What's up, dude? Cool. Great channel and videos. Thank you very much.
Awesome.
So you're like the Instagram, meme sensation guy. How did that start? Like what got you into it? How long have you been doing it? Just like give us the history of Chaz.
Yeah, I've been dumb my whole life, so I've been doing stuff like this the whole time. But I started collecting back again. Oh man, let me think. When was the Force Awakens? Was that 2014 or 15?
I want to say 15, yeah.
Yeah, so somewhere around there. I hadn't been collecting since I was a kid. So I was walking through the Disney store, and they had this line of Star Wars figures that were die-cast metal called the Elite series. I was like, oh man, these are kind of cool.
Yeah.
So I started collecting those. That's what got me into it. And then I started collecting some Black series. And then when the Vintage Collection Star Wars came out in 2018, they started, there was a first run, I think 2012 to whatever. And I started collecting those, and I started, that got me to start becoming part of Facebook groups. So I was in a couple of vintage collection groups, and I was just doing stupid memes and stuff like that. And then I don't know, I think was it my wife or somebody said, "Oh, just go on Instagram." So I just started an Instagram account to. You know what it was? It was there was a campaign to fight for TVC because we're afraid that that it was going to end because it wasn't really getting much stuff. Hasbro wasn't really dedicating too much to it, so it was a big old campaign. And so they were on Instagram like, "Oh, I just created an account and I just put all my memes that I had that I've been doing in the Facebook group, put it on there, and then just kind of evolved from there and just making memes and just put them up there." Then I got into G.I. Joe, and that's basically it. I just and then, when I find stuff on sale and things like that, I just post that for other people to, to go out and get some good toys on sale.
That's really awesome. We got a lot of guys jumping in, saying hi and all that stuff. Thank you all for being here. I'm throwing up your hellos as I can. And Crusty Old Crow asks, can one of you explain the Mickey Mouse Cobra Commander to a newbie before you set that Disney bit adrift? You want to take that? You want me to do it?
Yeah, well, I mean, you can tell. It's just you can go do it. It's just it was an error, right? They say it was an error, but I mean, I don't know. It looks like it's they tried to do it on purpose, and then the classified his tank one, they just did an homage to that. So the carded figure in that is the Mickey Mouse logo instead of So the Cobra logo supposedly got misprinted, and then it looks like the Mickey Mouse, so people just call it the Mickey Mouse logo, and so that's what the one with they came with the Sky Striker HasLab, and now the his tank carded ones, they put the old Mickey Mouse logo on it, and then obviously they're going to come out with a regular one with the regular logo, but it's kind of a collector's item they put with the HasLabs.
Which I always find really weird, because it was an accidental misprint. When you see what looks like the Mickey Mouse ears on the Cobra logo, it's supposed to be the eyes of the Cobra on the top, but the tempo was just freaking terrible. It was just bad.
I don't even remember that. And I collected when I was a kid. I got the first straight arm ones when they first came out. I was born in '71, so I went straight from Return of the Jedi into G.I. Joe. Probably up until like '85 solid, and then probably another 2-3 years just collecting here and there, because I was in high school already. So I don't even remember that logo at all.
Yeah, it was just a 1982 mistake. It came with the Sears exclusive Cobra Missile Command headquarters, which was the only paper and cardboard playset actually that Hasbro ever did for G.I. Joe, because Sears wanted an exclusive. They wanted it to be a playset. They wanted it like now, like yesterday. And so they said, well, we'll give you a cardboard one if you want it right now. And that's what they got. So
I never got that. So that's probably why I never knew about it.
Yeah, it's just one of those things. And I think it's weird that they just keep like digging out Mickey Mouse Cobra Commander. Like I guess I get it as the deep cut, but at the same time, I'm like, yeah, man, like I get it. It's an accident. Like don't make an accident intentional. Like just stop.
Well, it's just a homage, and it's just they've written a twofer out of it, right? So because they're gonna give it to you in the HasLab in both the Sky Striker and the his tank, and then they can just put it out again on a card with the regular logo, and now they got two bites at the apple, right? So
yeah, and they had already done an O-ring Cobra Commander in that 2-pack with Duke.
Yeah. Oh, did they put it? Was it in the Walmart line too, or no?
Well, they did a Cobra Commander in the Walmart line, yeah, in the 4-inch modern construction, but that's the Commander Duke was
the O-ring
pack that was the O-ring one.
Yeah, I have all those packs. So, anyways, so are you gonna collect the new Super 7? Are you into that? Because you have everything already. Like, well, you're like one of those guys. What do you get? Because you look at your wall behind you, man. You have every single thing you could ever want. So,
I like this question. Is it really a deep cut if they keep repeating it? No, it's not. It's an homage, like Chaz says. Yeah.
Now it's a surface cut.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's a paper cut. I don't want to say no, and I can't say yes at the same time, if I'm being honest with myself. So I don't suffer from FOMO. I'm not a completionist. I think being a completionist just drives people insane. I mean, that's just me, because I can't do it.
So here's the deal, though, because for years before Hasbro went back into the O-ring, people were like, "Oh, we want O-ring, we want O-ring, we want it." And then they come back, and then people really weren't supporting it. So, so do people that really like O-ring, do they really want O-ring again, or do they just like O-ring? Right?
I think that's not a simple answer, because one, yes, people do still like O-ring stuff because it's an easy body construction style. They're rugged, they're built for play, and all that great stuff, right?
Yeah.
But when Hasbro brought back O-rings, I mean, we all have to be honest about it. It was a piss poor effort. They just put out a couple of 2-packs. They were very hard to find, fan channel only. They weren't brick and mortar. There was nothing single carded. It was just like it was pretty lazy. It was pretty lame. And I understand it was like a testing the water thing, but when you only put out minimal effort and then turn around and go, "Oh, these aren't really selling," yeah, I mean, that's what you're going to get. But at the same time, as Hasbro was turning their back on 1/18 scale for a line that really is a world building line, you have all these other independent companies doing it with, I want to say, more attention to detail, creating new stories, new characters. And I think that a lot of people who like, and I don't just want to say who like O-rings, because I like 1/18 scale, but I like the modern construction 4-inch, right?
Mhm.
A lot of people who like that scale were basically told by the company, like, we're not for you anymore. Now,
Yeah.
granted, it wasn't like a direct sort of attack toward, those of us who like 1/18 world building. It was just a, well, if you're not going to do it, then we're going to go someplace else. And they were like, yeah, just go. Right. So I'm heavily into Eagle Force. I'm heavily into Marauder Gunrunners, Joy Toy, things like that. People who are still doing 4-inch modern construction figures. And I know a lot of people who like the O-ring stuff have really started looking at Call Sign Longbow that the Kukoviches are doing, and Matt LaCroix's Strike Force Alpha, and then you got Delta 17 in the Navy, Legends of the Hidden Force, on and on and on. There's all these other companies that are doing what Hasbro stopped doing. And, all the years that I go to Joe Fest and all that, because Hasbro killed JoeCon. So then, Joe Fest became the thing. They're just not missed. And I don't like to say that because, I mean, obviously you just said, look behind me, right? Like, this is all 99%, 95, maybe 92 actually percent Hasbro stuff. And I don't want to not support them, but at the same time, if they're not making stuff that I want, I'm just going to get it elsewhere. But they're not missed at Joe Fest. You have all these other companies doing rad stuff, and you got the Skeletron guys and the Marauder guys, and they're all so cool. And they're not like, and I'm not trying to make this sound gatekeepish or crappy, but they're not like the big corporation on the outside flooding in. They're the people on the inside making stuff that the people on the inside want. So they're like already part of that. And I hate the friggin' word community, but they're already part of it. You know what I mean? Community. Jim Largo says some gurus are the real deal, but only the ones who hang out with Chad. Yeah, that's great. Somebody said that your logo makes them think of salad fingers.
What the hell?
I'm trying to do 90 things at once. You know what I mean?
What's a salad finger, dude?
I have no idea.
Sounds like
thanks for hanging out with me and salad fingers here.
Yeah, dude. I knew a chick that they called salad fingers, but that's something different. But
there it is, right here. Rondo says Chaz's icon always reminds me of salad fingers.
What the hell's a salad finger, man? I have no idea, man. I gotta explain that, dude.
It's fun though. Whatever.
Yeah.
In a year, you're gonna be like, somebody said my logo looks like salad fingers one day.
You know my ass is gonna Google that later, dude.
Salad fingers.
Maybe he's trying to get people to Google it, like 2 girls, 1 cup. You know?
Yeah.
We're all gonna Google it. We're gonna go, what the?
Got you. Yeah.
Yeah. Trying to get us.
Beast Battleground says it's an old internet video from like Charlie. Oh, Charlie the Unicorn. Hey, Charlie, go away. Yeah.
What was that? I don't know, man.
Charlie the Unicorn. Yeah. It's an old internet video. Well, I'm sure you'll Google it at some point.
Yeah, I'll look it up later.
Yeah. Yeah, so I don't know about the Super 7 O-ring figures, because part of me, I'm happy for the people who want, new figures. And when I say new figures, I also mean, you get those characters like Raven and, the Snakelings and Cadet Deming and Admiral Latimer and all these crazy, like, deep cuts from the cartoons that were never made in plastic form.
Yeah.
And one thing that Super 7 has shown is that even though with Reaction, their left and right limits were firmly in animation, and, they were making deep cut stuff like the Blind Woodsman and his dog sled team and all that stuff. And then you got Adam Riches doing the packaging art. And I'm not a reaction person. I understand that reaction's its own deal, but at the same time, at least they're making characters that had really never been made before. They're making like, the flight crews for the flag and all sorts of things like that.
Yeah, I have about probably 30 plus reaction figures.
I
You
have
know,
6 total, yeah.
yeah, you can't compare it to, people get mad like, oh, the 5PO, but they're their own beast. So if you either like it or you don't like it, I like, and I love new cards. I don't want a rehash of the old 80s cards. I like that Adam Rich does the new artwork and stuff like that. I love it. So,
Yeah.
and the stuff that we never got before. I mean, that's cool. I'm drawn to that, and so I collect them, not heavily, but I'll pick them up, the really cool ones that I like, but I really like that Walmart line. The fact that the card backs were kind of crap because they're too thin and all that, and it didn't have the white border and all that. But
This Walmart line?
yes,
Yeah, I'm a huge fan of it. Well, kind of yes and kind of no. I think the last 2 waves, which was Stalker, the Cobra Trooper, Grunt, and the Cobra Officer, were fantastic. They have ankle rockers and thigh swivel and great accessories and blah 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 blah. But the first couple waves, you had some weird decisions.
Yeah, that Stalker, man, that is an amazing figure. Amazing.
I love that Stalker. Yeah, I have several of him around, and then he actually sits on my OG13 shelf with my modern interpretations because I think the sculpt is good. The paint apps are good, and base looks awesome.
So did you collect all of the anniversary ones, the 25th and all those? And
That's what all of these are right here.
that's awesome. See, I wasn't collecting then, and I kick myself because I've been having to pick them up, like here and there, when I see them, because they are freaking awesome, and then sometimes you're getting some with the bubbles already yellowing, or it's not, it's hard to find like some really good ones when I could have just picked them up for retail back in the day. It just kind of sucks when you're trying to pick them up or go to Joe Fest and pick some up here or there. So
yeah, and that's all that stuff from the mid-aughts when like everything was on fire and Toys R Us had like all that BBI Elite stuff. And now I wish I could just go back in time to that period and buy all of that stuff. Everybody else is like, oh, I'd go back to 86 and I'd get a box flag and a Terradrome and a blah, blah, blah. I was like, I'd go back to 2009 and I'd start getting all the BBI Elite stuff. That Apache helicopter is expensive.
See, but that's because you already have all that stuff.
Yeah, it's true.
Like, people like us, I'd go back to the 80s too and grab all that stuff. I have some of my stuff that I pulled out of the crawl space of my parents' house before they sold it, and I got almost a full Wolverine. I think I might just be missing 1 or 2 missiles. Nice. And there's a lot of stuff just fell apart. My Dragonfly was just pretty much crap, and so I just threw away a lot of the stuff. But I was able to salvage more stuff than I could ever imagine that I was going to be able to salvage out of there. But so I got some of my stuff at least.
So Mython the Python says, I know Chaz's icon is supposed to be like a Darth Baby Yoda, but it makes me think of Quado from Total Recall. Is that Grogu?
Yeah, it is.
Okay. And he's like, Quaid, start the reactor, Quaid. Now, see, when I look at it, unless I really focus on like right here and then I see the Grogu, I think it's a freaking messed up Gelfling from the Dark Crystal.
Oh man, dude, yeah, kind of like it. So
I mean, that's kind of what I see. After the Dark Crystal like sucks the life out of him.
Yeah. So the full picture that I had, I had to make it a circle for Instagram, so it kind of cut off. Because it was a square photo. I kind of used a bunch of different photos and some effects to come up with it. And this is before I was collecting G.I. Joe, so it was more just like a. Oh no, it wasn't. Was it after? Maybe I was collecting G.I. Joe, but anyways, yeah. So it was I think it was a picture of Palpatine, and then I think I used a Grogu photo, and then I just kind of photoshopped some stuff on it and kind of made it original. So
Well, I mean, it works because anytime somebody sees it, they know it's you. So that's good. And just
I
for
guess
V
so.
Conley and Queen.
That was a great movie, man.
Oh, it's so good. Silly Poll plays. How is the articulation of the new O-rings compared to the original? Does it have the same feet? If we're talking about the Hasbro O-rings, the plastic's a little weird. So when if you take an original 82 to 94, a Real American Hero, the the feel of the plastic, if you talk about like tactile contact, the new ones they just feel, I don't want to say fake, but funky. They don't feel the same, and it's hard to articulate it until you actually put your hands on them, and then you're like, yeah, this plastic feels weird. It's
So
almost
didn't
like
they say? Oh,
black
sorry. Didn't they
matter.
say they used like a different, like a PVC or something like that? They wanted to use something that didn't degrade as much. I thought that was something. I thought that
Yeah,
was a thing they said.
yeah. And one thing I like about a lot of the other O-ring lines that are coming out now is, yeah, they're still using like, okay, we got these pins and these joints do this and same old, and they got the O-ring and they got the ball joint swivel head, but they're putting um wrist articulation in them, they're putting thigh swivels in them, they're putting, ankle swivels in them. They're doing different plastic for the hands so they hold the weapons better and the thumbs don't explode, just stuff like that. So a lot of these other lines they're expanding on that principle. And then Operation Recall, Carson Metaxas from 3D Joe's, he's not even using O-rings. He's using a thing that looks like a birth control IUD kind of a thing. That's kind of what it looked like to me when I first saw it. Like, we were joking about it. I was like, is that an IUD? I think it's an IUD.
That's funny.
Clint Jorgensen, sub to the channel this week. Amazing job with your channel. Thank you very much. I really appreciate that. Yeah, I don't really know what to say about that, but yeah, thank you. Darren Hernandez says the BBI stuff is gold. There are some pieces I want that were Asian market only. Oh, like the Sukhoi 27, the Russian missile truck, and the J-10. Their stuff is fantastic, man. I love it. Yeah, and then Man of Action even says the plastic is different. It's cheaper quality. It just has that funky feel to it, Yeah, exactly. And this is Mikey from JMK Custom Works. He works on Callsign Longbow with his father, John Kukovich, and says they have a real black major red laser feel, like longevity over OG feel. Okay, cool. Boomerang says the 25th 2-packs and 50th 3-packs are so sweet. I love those sets. I cannot agree with you more on that. But are you looking forward to any of this stuff? I mean, you asked me if I was looking forward to those O-rings. Are you?
I like modern way better than O-ring. I'll see how they look. Well, yeah, I'll just see how they look, I guess. Because I'm not an opener for 3.75. I have some open, if I find them on the cheap, or I had one of the packs. I think it was the Duke pack from Hasbro, the O-ring. There was something going on where a bunch of people got them where the bubbles were like melted. I mean, it was crazy. It was like melted, like with high heat, like
Yep.
a high heat gun.
Yeah, I
something
remember
like
that.
Yeah, so I got mine replaced. I said to keep it, so I'm like, okay, whatever. I opened it up just to open it up and check it out. But to me, like same thing with like Star Wars, I collect more for the look of the figure on the card, and so same thing with GI Joe. I like it the better on the card for 3.75. The 6-inch, just like the Black Series, I open those all up, and GI Joe Classified, I open them all up. Although when they were window packaging, I would get one of each because I'd like to see those ones in the package. So I would have a set, 2 of each figure until they did the windowless packaging, because there was no real reason to do it.
And that was kind of a lesson that they had to learn, and they sort of had to go through it. I don't want to say they had to learn that lesson the hard way, because I don't really know if that vernacular applies, but they had to understand that if you don't have a window in the package, people are going to be less likely to buy 2.
Yeah, and you know what?
It took them a while to figure that out.
When they were saying this, you know, and I was in the Facebook groups and on my Instagram account, I said, you know, they're going to lose so much money because, you know, just talking to people and just even myself, like I would buy two, and I know other people that were just in package collectors only. And then when they were talking about getting rid of the bubbles, like for Star Wars Vintage Collection, I'm like, oh, dude, this is a death sentence. This line will die on the spot if you don't put a window on. They had, I don't know if you saw, they had those Dungeons and Dragons figures, and they had a 4-inch line or whatever, and they did a carded one, and it was like a stupid box the size of the bubble on the card. And so it's a box on a card. Yeah. I mean, that was the most lame looking thing that I had ever seen in my life.
Yeah. And you're like, that's janky. That looks terrible.
Oh my God, dude. You know, and it's not, you know, I don't blame the G.I. Joe or the Star Wars teams. I mean, they're getting the message from on high from
I mean, the teams are getting told what to do, you know.
Yeah, you know, and I talked to them, you know, at Star Wars Celebration. I said, you guys got to do everything you can do to get these bubbles, because you guys it's going to end your line. I think I told this to a couple people, and I talked to Emily. She's the head of the Vintage Collection brand. Yeah, so I talked to her, but I said, you know, you need to really freaking save this bubble, man. You do anything you can because it's going to kill the line. But luckily they reversed course, and now we're going to get, because, you know, at first I was like, oh yeah, I like the new boxes from Classified, because I really like the way they're doing the styling of that. But now seeing the big boa in the package again, I'm like, oh yeah, dude, this is awesome. Because I had them on a wall. I would just like stick them up one by one. It was like a wall of Classified figures, and then I'd have my loose ones in front of it. And so it's a cool look. So anyways, I enjoy that way better. So
you know, windows, no windows, the weird little deep cut stuff like the bicycle in the background and the freaking mutant tube worms and all that stuff, great. But I approach toys and the understanding of toys from the whole point of, these are supposed to be on aisles for kids to want to get into these lines. And, you know, this represents a toy at a maximum competition, right? On the card, on the peg, in the package, whatever, right? This is what draws people's attention. And when you have a line that doesn't have any visual consistency, even over 4 years, it gets a little weird. That's just an observation.
Yeah, they've changed the package,
too much
times, I think.
Yeah,
right.
Too much,
because they had the window packaging, then they went to the windowless with the
and
the art. Yeah, just the art on it just was, you know. And then on top of that, even within the window and windowless packaging, they had different artists doing it. So one time, you got that guy doing with the spirit, with that kind of style of art.
Yeah, the Native American art. But then you get the bangers like Major Blood. Like Major Blood was ridiculously awesome. And then
to me, the best is like the Serpentor and Dr. Mindbender art. They did them all that way. I mean, that's amazing, man. That whoever did that stuff is amazing. The artist that did the barbecue artwork, freaking awesome. You know, and and then you get weird ones like Zorana. It was more like cartoonish, and I think Kamakura had like a weird cartoonish type.
Yeah, and then you had Cover Girl looking like Squirrel Girl and stuff, and
yeah, exactly. Yeah, so there was inconsistency even there, right? So not only was that the went from window to the windowless to the full kind of art on the front, then to this new packaging. Yeah, the new packaging, which I think everyone likes that a whole lot better. And then now back to window packaging. So I'm glad they went back to what they were doing before, because I was told, I think it was John at the booth, and I thought he said something to the effect that, like, maybe it wasn't him. Somebody said it was going to be like kind of like maybe an amalgamation of the styles that wasn't really set yet. But now I'm glad they're just doing this. Go back to the old way. You see everything. You see all the accessories in there. Man, that's what we want. And then, you know, if you're an opener, who cares? You don't care about the package anyway. So what does it matter? So just open your toy.
Yeah, and at least they're using that biodegradable plastic or whatever. It's It's not the stuff that the ketchup bottles are made out of. It's not that bioplastic, but I guess they said it was like 99% recycled or something like that.
But here's the funny thing about that. I swear to you, and I know I talked to somebody else about it. That was always that plastic. It was always
That's what I thought.
biodegradable plastic. Yeah.
Yeah.
So like then they wait, when they changed it and they said, oh yeah, we're gonna go back to window, but it's gonna be biodegradable. Wasn't it always that way? So I mean, obviously they got hit in the wallet. They were trying to, I don't know, you call me a jerk. I thought they're, the virtue signaling, oh, we're gonna be, plastic free, this and that and this and that, and then when it really comes down to the bottom line, and they see it's getting hurt, like, oh well, maybe we don't care about the environment so much, right?
Saving money, but using the whole, environmental friendly as the pitch for saving money, and then realizing that the saving of money was costing them money. So got it.
It's like was it the Dave Chappelle when he's Rick James on the couch? You're like, F your couch, and now F your trees.
Should have never made you rich. Kick the couch. Yeah. Just for the record, Robert's Infinite Realms hates Super 7. Just wanted to share that because it's been up there long enough. David Godby says, longtime listener, many time caller. Modern Joe News. What's the beef? I am all in on modern 4-inch news. You want to chat on this? Should we talk about this right now?
And you can tell me about, because you were talking about subscription service. I wasn't collecting then, so explain to me and everyone else that maybe doesn't know what that subscription service was and how it went, what it cost. Did you have to,
Gotcha.
Did you have to pay per figure? Did you have to pay for all of them, or what was the deal on that?
All the above. So the figure subscription service, it's kind of the same thing that like Matty Collector was doing with Masters of the Universe. So you pay, I think for Matty Collector, it was like, and somebody can actually me in the comments with the price, but you better say actually, or I'm not going to friggin' read it. I want to say it was $240 a month or a year, as you were, $240 paid for the whole year of your figure subscription. And the $240 got you 12 figures, $20 a figure, right? Because you're basically crowdfunding figures to be made. You're paying for it in advance. And then everybody who pays for it in advance pays for the figures to be made and sent to you and all that stuff. Now, the way that the G.I. Joe Collectors Club is what it was called, or figure subscription service, same. They only sent you the 12 figures. But Matty Collector, you would get a bonus 13th figure at the end of the year at some point. It wasn't always like in December, you're going to get a 13th figure, but you would get a bonus figure with that year's subscription at some point. Kind of like a chase figure. So that's what a figure subscription service is. And the Joe Figure subscription service was good for several years. The final 2 years were junk. They were crap. They stopped putting money and effort into it. I believe some of the subscriptions started tailoring off because, again, if the quality's not there, if the characters aren't there, you're going to lose some customers, right? That's just normal. And in the last 2 years, everything was like they would use one specific like chest harness over and over and over, and they would just repaint figures. And it was continuous. Everything was either a repaint of a character or a character that was made out of like complete kit bash parts, and they would just reuse that same rig over and over and over. So the final 2 years were kind of junk, but there's some of those figure subscription service figures like the Dial Tone, the Cover Girl, Law and Order, Footloose, very expensive. If you went to find them now, they would be outrageously expensive. The Battle Android Trooper, I want to call him version 2. In a Real American Hero, it was called the Bat V2, but for some reason with the figure subscription service, they call it the Bat V 1.8. I don't know why. I never got an answer, but it's version 1.8. The squad leader, so he's not lime green and that hypercolor orange, he's red instead. That figure loose, last time I looked, was $300.
Wow.
Yeah, and they're outrageous. They're so hard to find. That's the deal with a figure subscription service. As far as revival of modern 4-inch Joes, that was one thing that I did not expect to hear. I did not expect to hear that at all. It came out of nowhere as a guy who loves 4-inch modern Joes. So I didn't really know how to proceed with that, but yeah, that's what I got. And I even have all my notes up here just again so I don't misspeak. These are the exact same notes from the video. Revival modern 4-inch construction Joes was informed will either be fan channel or most likely figure subscription service returning, just as Mattel did with resurrection of Matty Collector, and then vehicles.
So is Matty Collector back?
Yeah, but it's only one of the Motu lines that went back to Matty Collector.
Oh, okay.
But they never really did away with Matty Collector. I mean, if we want to get actually about it, because the attorney is through Matty Collector.
Okay.
Yeah. Crowdfund, right? So that's all a figure subscription service is. It's a crowdfund. You pay in advance for X number of figures for a year, and then it's X number of figures times month times price. Boop. That's it.
Was that with shipping included, or did you have to pay shipping separate?
No, it's all included with that annual charge. It's all the above. Yeah. So it was like for Matty Collector specifically, it was $20 for the figure, on a blister card with shipping and no, the whole thing.
Did you get a vote on what they were going to make or no?
Yeah, there were times where that was a thing. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Cool. It wasn't always, and a lot of times. Like Wilhelm and Jim Largo were talking about earlier, a lot of people don't like to, just be told, give us money, and then these are the figures we're going to send you. Like, a lot of people, it's discretionary spending. So you go to the store and you're like, I don't really like sci-fi, but I like Lifeline. And so you'll buy Lifeline, but you'll leave sci-fi, right? That's where peg warmers come from is not everybody wants everything, but with a figure subscription service, you are locked in, and that's what you're going to get.
So if it came back, what do you think? Because if you already got everything, you're an old Joe collector, you got everything from the first time there was the subscription service.
Yeah, mostly.
So you think they would be making the stuff over again, or you think they'd start making new stuff that people like you don't have?
I don't know. I think any of that would just be conjecture, or I would be guesstimating because all I was told was revival. I was also that guy where when they started doing the retro Walmart line, I was like, if you want to be smart about this line and get people like hooked on it, give them those figure subscription service figures from like 2012, 2013, like your dial tone and figures like that are too hard to find and way too expensive. Bring those figures back for your Walmart retro line, because then people would buy those up. It's not like, and granted, I love the Grunt and the Stalker, but they re-released the 50th anniversary 2-pack Snake Eyes and Storm Shadow. They single carded them. They didn't put the alternate head for Snake Eyes, and I was like, you basically just re-release this on 2 separate packages with less stuff. And they're not the same version that the card is. So you got version 1 on the card, version 2 in the bubble. Like, you're just all over the place. So that line, and that was part of what I was told, was that the Walmart retro line, again, just like with the windowless package, it taught them some hard-learned lessons about you can't just roll out anything and expect everybody to get on board with it. Like, you got to do it smarter. You shouldn't have called it retro, because then people were expecting, O-ring figures when they hear retro. You could have done that better. So what I was told is that they're going to revive the modern 4-inch figures again. It will not be called retro. Like, that was specifically stated, with some laughy faces and stuff. But I don't know. I mean, we'll just see how it goes. Wilhelm says, I'm not going to get my hopes up for any of the new offerings that are coming, but I'm willing to give them a chance. One thing I will say about Super 7, pardon me. One thing I will say about Super 7, I wouldn't be shocked if they made a Cobra Aspid. I would not be shocked by that, because that is it's a comic vehicle, because now they said comics as well. Originally, their left and right limits were only animation, but I guess now it's including comic stuff too, which is cool. That's fine. I could see them making a Cobra Aspen just based off of the deep cut characters that they made for reaction. They would be the guys to be like, we're going to make this Cobra helicopter that no one else has ever made before, just to like put their stamp on it. And if they do, I'm going to buy the shit out of that thing. So.
Yeah, they should be making stuff that wasn't made before. That should be their lane, because a lot of collectors, I think, why am I going to want it? It's just like the Sky Striker. I really didn't care about for the Sky Striker itself. I wanted those card figures. I think a lot of people they were struggling with it because a lot of people, they already have a Sky Striker. So why are you making another Sky Striker? It's built up and this and that, has a stand and everything, but make something that, people, want that they don't have, how many times does Sky Striker come out, So.
Exactly. I mean, in this room alone, I think I have 9-10 different Sky Strikers, and it's ridiculous. And yes, I bought it. I did. I backed it. I don't want to say it was a FOMO thing, but I was like, I got to back the scale, right? I want to back the scale. And I voted with my wallet. I chose to. I didn't feel like I had to. I chose to. But I had Kirk Bazigian on not that long ago, and he and I were talking about that. And he's like, if you want the brand to stay relevant, why did you do an F-14 again? Especially if you're going to HasLab it, you could have made anything. It could have been like an F-35, and you could have made it really awesome. Like, it didn't have to be an F-14. They're not even in our inventory anymore. And I was like, you know what? That's a real good point.
Yeah, but they were just going for like the nostalgia, right?
But nostalgia only gets us so far, at the same time. You gotta do. Dude, how cool would it be if G.I. Joe, like Hasbro G.I. Joe, came out with a freaking V-22 Osprey with a ramp that came down and a freaking fast line rope that you could put out of it, and just like a badass Osprey? That would be so cool. Or a proper Chinook. I've never seen a proper Chinook come out of Hasbro. I mean, there's a lot of cool things they could do, but we can't just stay on Dragonfly and Sky Striker. We can't stay on those vehicles. Those vehicles are, we still have the Cobra attack helicopter. That's still a thing. Here's a question for you, Chaz. From Boomerang. I missed the Target exclusive 2-pack Star Wars Black Series clones. Is that going back up on Target?
Yeah, so I missed it too. Yeah, because I was like, I don't know if I'm going to get that or not. I'm not really too much into clones myself, so it went up, and it had a price of $24.99, and they totally messed up on the price, because it should be $49, $50, and so I think they pulled it right away because it wasn't up for long. So I think it went up. They realized, like, oh shoot, we put the wrong price. They pulled it. And my understanding from talking to somebody that works at Walmart, because we just had that issue with the classified grunt figure, was $11.99 for some reason in the system. Dude, I went out and I wiped out like 10 of them at some stores before they pulled it. And the reason they didn't change the price was it had to be when they were doing the set date, and that's when they were able to change the price back. So when they were able to officially put them out, because I was asking them pull it out of the back room, I had them scan it, they pulled it out for me because they weren't supposed to go out. There was no register lock, but so my understanding is that until they actually have the set date for that, they can't change it in the system. That's what I was told from a manager. If it's true, I don't know, but it makes sense because they haven't changed the price yet, and it still shows sold out. So, and it's clearly the incorrect price. So, whatever date it says it's going to be released, I would just check back on that date, and then it should be going back up.
Sounds good. Mython the Python sends a $5 super chat. Thank you very much, my friend. And says, by the way, speaking about figures, we're all still waiting to see that 1-to-1 scale Baroness you said you'd have standing back there with that amazing collection. So Chaz, I don't know if you know this, but my wife and I are part of the finest costume club, the G.I. Joe Costuming Club. And my wife mains as Baroness. And so there's like this running joke that, remember how when you and I were backstage, I was like, oh, I was saying goodbye to my wife.
Yeah.
So, in one of my Joe Room tour videos, I'm gonna have my wife standing off to the side like a 1-to-1 scale action figure, and then
Awesome.
I'll probably like do something like move the arm out of the way, you know. But it just for fun. But yeah,
Straight arm or swivel arm?
Yeah, swivel arm battle grip. Gotta have the battle grip from the misses. You know what I mean? You know what I'm saying? I gotta have that.
Yeah.
That's what she said.
Anyway, thank you, Mython. It will be coming. Brandon's here. What's up, Brandon? What up? What do you think about this? Z-Force or Z-Force, as you were, Z-Force, and Red Shadows in Classified. What do you think about the old Palatoy Action Force stuff showing up in Classified?
I think it's cool. Now, I don't remember any of that. I since I stopped collecting, 85, I stopped collecting hardcore because then I was going to high school, and then I collected here and there for the next few years. I don't remember any of the Iron Grenadiers. I don't remember any of the Red Shadow and any of that stuff. But it's cool. It's cool. So I would totally welcome all of that. And what is it, the Russian ones, the Red October? I didn't know any of that, and I would love it.
You know what's funny? I saw a rendering, and I can't say if it's real or not, so I didn't really bring it up. But since you just brought it up, I'm just going to mention it, right? Like, this is just offhand conversation. This isn't like, somebody screen capture this and like throw it up on a website. But I saw a rendering of the entire, I don't want to say the entire original October Guard team in classified form.
I think somebody put. I think that was a fan render.
Was it a fan
render? I think I saw. Yeah, there's. I don't know if it was a guy. Roel. He's in the Facebook groups.
I just saw a render of it, and I was like, "Yeah, that'd be cool." But
yeah.
I'm
I think
also
it
not
because
that guy. You know what I mean? I'm not the guy who's like classified news. I got to chuck it out there. I actually avoid that stuff. I stay away from it because it's not my wheelhouse, and I don't ever want to seem disingenuous. And there was a lot of trepidation, not only to make that video that I made. And the only reason I made that video, man, is because when Dan Ederling had Pixel Dan, right? When Pixel Dan had Brian Flynn on, and I knew that they were going to announce it, but I was told it wasn't coming for like another 2 weeks. It was coming closer to the end of the year. And I saw the thing that Super 7 put up, and I was like, ooh, it's going to be one of two things. And as soon as Pixel Dan had him on, I was like, okay, so stuff's starting to come out. I'm making the video. But
so
I didn't want to talk about those classified vehicles. The only reason I did was because it was in that freaking dump that I got from that guy. And I figured if I'm going to dump all this, I'm just going to dump it all.
Yeah, man, why not? It's it's still GI Joe.
It is still GI Joe, but
you're not being disingenuous because you're reporting on it. The guy gave you a bunch of information. And,
yeah,
hey,
and
put it out there.
Yeah, I approach it from the information standpoint, not the like I'm trying to hype up whatever. It felt a little weird, but I was like, well, it's news, and I'm dropping all this other shit. So, what are your thoughts on all these classified vehicles coming? You like it?
Oh yeah, awesome, dude, awesome. I welcome every single one of them. I can't wait. And I hope they do some of the smaller things too. And yeah, I just love it.
Well,
I know you don't. Do you collect any classified at all, or not? Have you collected?
I have 6 or 7.
Okay. Yeah.
No, I don't. No.
To me, and I don't know why. I just think they're funner for me to open up. Just pose but maybe because my eyes aren't so good anymore. I'm trying to, you look at these small figures and like, and even like the super articulation, like the vintage collection, I've opened a few because, I've had a crushed bubble and they say, hey, keep it, whatever. To me, like when you're posing it, I just feel like I'm going to break it, man. They're just there's just so many moving parts. And I'm just like, where you have the 6-inch figures, like a Black Series or a classified. I feel like I can more manhandle it, and, move it around and not really worrying about breaking a joint, breaking something off, and and then trying to squint my eyes to try to put the gun in the hand and all that. So, anyways, but yeah, the vamp looks awesome. I can't wait. The Dragonflies. I mean, if the Thunder Machine's coming,
Yep,
it'll be awesome.
And the Thunder Machine thing wasn't really news. What kind of was that whole price point thing. And I've heard a couple other people say, well, I heard it was closer to 120 to 150. And I'm like, again, all this stuff, like you're talking about a 2-year span. That's a 3-second conversation at Hasbro corporate. And they just go, yeah, just make it this instead. It doesn't mean that all this stuff is set in stone. And that's, again, that's why I was leery about even bringing any of it up, because people will, you could be right 99 times and you could be wrong once. And what are people going to remember? The once, you know what I mean?
Or you could be Viper Island and be wrong 100% of the time and still talking crap.
And I don't even watch this dude. I don't even watch his stuff because, again, classified is not my wheelhouse. So if you are a channel, and I understand that classified has, G.I. Joe in front of it, but I don't consider it G.I. Joe. It's not my G.I. Joe. It's a kind of G.I. Joe, right? And so, when all you do is classified stuff, I will never watch your shit. It's not that I have anything against you. It's just not it. If all you talk about is like pumpkin pie, and I fucking hate pumpkin pie, no, I'm not going to watch your recipes. You know what I mean?
Well, I mean, it makes sense. I don't.
I did see that he made a video where he was talking about Doc, and it was like the Stalker head sculpt, and people were reckoning. And I know you get on that dude's ass a lot.
What happened was, I think it was there was those head sculpts that was, I think somebody put it on AliExpress for sale, but there were those prototype ones, I guess, from the factory, and there was a Mace Windu one. It was clearly Mace Windu. It's clearly, it's clearly his face, and I think he was saying that this was going to be the new Doc or something.
Mace Windu, that's right. It was Mace Windu's head as Doc. Yeah, yeah.
It's like, dude, have you never seen this guy before? Like, how would you even get that? How do you not recognize that that's him?
Yeah,
bizarre, man. Somebody this is wrong all the time, but it's not about being wrong. It's talking crap about people that are usually right. That's he crapped all over what's on Joe Mind. What's on Joe Mind got that list of the 2022 figures.
2022, yeah. Yep.
They had the whole list, and they were 100% right on every single figure. And then he had this video where he's like, poo-pooed them, basically calling them, clickbait and all that. I'm like, who watches this clown?
He low-key fucking side-eye talked shit about my video. Did you see that post that he put out?
Yeah, somebody sent me that post. This guy's just like, who watches this clown?
And I'm like, dude, I'm sorry. It's like I wasn't even talking about, all I said was, there are other channels who talk about name drop reveals and all that stuff. And I mentioned you, right? Because you talk about that stuff. And I said, there's other people who talk about that stuff, and they do it better. They do it more often and probably more reliably. So I'm not going to talk about that. And then he talks shit about me. And I was like,
dude.
Hey, Jesse from JLS Comics is here as of 20 minutes ago.
Oh, wow. Awesome.
Hi,
he's the one that does those videos with about the characters, right?
Yeah. Who is this?
Awesome.
Who is that?
Yeah.
Jesse's rad, dude. He's so rad.
Dude, those videos are awesome. So
yeah.
to you, dude.
We got another super chat from Mython the Python. Thanks, brother. You could just put it in the regular chat, man. I'll read it. I've heard you and others mention Joy Toy and Acid Rain. Is there a difference between them? And if so, which do you prefer? I'm going to say yes, but I probably couldn't articulate how much of yes. But there is. A lot of it is accessories styling, the styling. I really like Joy Toy. Some people probably prefer Acid Rain, but I like Joy Toy. I do. All right, so classified vehicles, we got. I don't even know why I'm doing this, but I'm just trying to be thorough. So the SMS is coming with the Techno Viper, correct?
Yep.
And then the MMS is going to come. We know that's coming. The word is that's going to have Colonel Hawk.
That's what it came with, right? Originally.
Yeah. So that's not a lot of this stuff isn't a shocker. You know, the Thunder Machine has never really been a shocker because as much as I don't care to go find what that team talks about, I know they have talked about the Thunder Machine. I know they've talked about the Snowcat. I know they've talked about a Rattler would be cool, it's doable, but it would have to be a HasLab, right? All this stuff has been discussed. And then there's the Ferret, the Stinger, the Tiger Paw, which is the Tiger Force Ferret. Yeah, and then the Tiger Sting, which is the Tiger Force Vamp.
Yeah, so those haven't been announced. I think John said something about the Stinger coming, you know, which is no brainer. Obviously, if you get the Vamp, you're going to get the
Ferrets on the box, right?
Yeah. The Ferrets, and they announced the Ferret too at San Diego Comic-Con, and so then we saw. Oh no, they didn't show the render of it yet, but we saw it on the box, and we've seen the helmet prototype was with those pictures with Mace Windu, or Doc, as some people like to call him. And let's see, I think the shocker was that the Thunder Machine wasn't going to be a HasLab, because everyone thought that was going to be it. And then when I went to the SDCC and I talked to Lenny for a while, coolest guy ever, man. That guy's awesome. Anyways, and I said, oh, we need the next HasLab to be a Thunder Machine. He's like, that doesn't necessarily have to be a HasLab. I'm like, oh, that's actually pretty cool. So that they've already considered that means they've obviously drawn it up, costed it out, and determined that's something that, you know, it's not going to have to be a HasLab. So all these bigger vehicles, I would have to guarantee they're all going to be HasLab or not Hasbro Pulse exclusives, because then, you know, they don't have to put the burden on the retailer. They don't have to
just
worry about it. Just exactly. Well, that's not even fan channel, like, because fan channel that some of that stuff has been ending up at Ross. So I think they want to something
and
that
Ollie's,
big. And Ollie's too, So
when I saw that freaking Fortnite Snake Eyes was at Ollie's, I was like, what? And then that's when I had to have it explained, like, well, all of them technically fall under the same parent company, so they can do that.
Okay, yeah. So a lot of those because Sergeant Slaughter was a fan channel.
The Viper 3-pack. Even the Target exclusives, right? They're showing up there too.
Yeah, so Target's been sending all their stuff over there. So I think I'm going to put up a post and ask people what they think the next Ross Ollie's finds are going to be, you know, out of the figures from this year, you know, Black Series and Classified, because there's some ones that have been peg warming hard, and so we'll see what's over there next. The vehicles, man, I welcome all. But, you know, it's a lot of room. I don't know where the hell we're going to put all this crap, but I'll play with it for a while. Probably put it in a bin eventually, and on to the next one. But there's just so much stuff stuff they can do.
I think it's cool, because the last thing I ever want to be is the person who just you know, as much as I've been called the person who just hates on shit just to hate on shit. I think it's cool for the people who want it, but at the same time, it does from the sidelines look like we're trying to fit a square peg into a round hole, because you're taking a non-world building scale and you're forcing. Well, you're coming up with creative ways to put world building into a scale that is not world building. And so in a way, I think it's cool, because it's like, you know, get an E for effort. And in a way, I'm like, you're really like dying on that fucking 6-inch hill to make some, I don't know. I just sit around and I think about it for no reason. It's not like it haunts me or anything, but.
Well, I think a lot of collectors of 6-inch, they want something else to put with their figures. You know, they just want like a bunch of statues on the wall.
Right. But
so,
what is the 6-inch scale like when we're talking about Hasbro? And I'm talking like when Black Series started, what scale did it start at? 118, right? And then it
Yeah, it
went
was
to
the
112,
Walmart.
and then that became like it's not the playtime, have a play set, have a bunch of vehicles scale. It's the elite, hyper articulated, dolly only scale. And then as everybody started like buying into this 112 thing, it was like, well, it's a dolly scale. It's a dolly scale. It's an elite scale. It's a figure only scale. And now we're seeing like it failed spectacularly with Star Wars. So if it succeeds with Joe, I think that speaks volumes about G.I. Joe as an IP in general, which we're kind of starting to see with a lot of these announcements coming about Super 7's doing vehicles. Hasbro's going to bring back 118 scale vehicles. And then there's the word on the Whale and the Night Raven. But at the same time, it's like, if it failed at one IP in that scale, but it succeeds in another, maybe you should put a little more effort into Joe and stop calling it an emerging brand.
Yeah. The Star Wars, so the Black Series, there was some cool stuff though. But like they had the what was it, the Bantha with the Sand Trooper. That is a
they had some cool stuff,
set.
but they tried that TIE Fighter.
The TIE Fighter failed miserably, but that was more sequel trilogy, so that could have been part of it. But
the Snowspeeder did well.
The Snowspeeder, yeah, but then I think that
the TIE Fighter was. I mean, like, how big was it? It was friggin' gigantic.
Yeah,
that stuff's a little too much. When you have a TIE Fighter that's wings are almost the height of my double-decker Terrordrome, it gets a little questionable.
Yeah, it was pretty big. I bought it and I kept it in the box, and I eventually sold because I moved. So I'm like, I don't think I'm ever going to put this up. So
it's deceptively large because the way the wings are packaged in the box. So you think like, oh, it's not that big just looking at the box, and then when you put it together, it's gigantic. Yeah, that's what she said.
Yeah, so they they had trouble with the 6-inch line with the big vehicles, and that's why we're not seeing them do it anymore. And retailers just won't take them. I would expect, because they just eventually went to clearance. I know. I'm trying to think. Was that TIE Fighter might have been a Toys R Us exclusive? I think it was, but
I don't think so, because I saw it at the exchange. I saw it at the AFES exchange. It was the Army Air Force Exchange Service.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I saw it at the AFES. Matthew Matson actually made. What's up?
So they sell toys there?
Oh yeah, I just got a whole bunch of toys from the exchange. Yeah.
Really?
Oh yeah.
Oh, that's cool.
So Matthew says figure subscription service was 13 figures, 12 known and 1 supposed. Yeah, I mean, isn't that what I was talking about? Granted, I was mostly talking about Maddie, but yeah, 13 figures. I know I'm like 20 minutes late on this comment, so I don't know, but yeah, that's the gist of what I was getting at. And then Rachel Salinas says Joe Club redesigned Salvo. That's right, and Crosshair due to fan criticism. Yeah. A lot of crazy stuff going on. So we got if that HasLab Rattler is a thing, which I don't want to say I believe it, but at the same time, it's been discussed a lot. Is that something you get down with?
I mean, I would have to.
Would you? You have to?
I have to. It's the law. I have to buy it. I have to buy everything G.I. Joe these days. So, yeah, I'm a completist when it comes to G.I. Joe classified. So I'm gonna get one of each of everything. Just like vintage collection, I'm pretty much a completist there. Black Series, I pick and choose. The G.I. Joe 3.75, I would pick and choose. Although I collected, I got everything from the modern line, so I can't say that. So but yeah, it'd be huge though, right? I mean, like even the regular Rattler's pretty big, so I had that as a kid.
Right. So Steve's Toys on Facebook. I'm sure he's probably on Instagram, but I'm friends with Steve on Facebook. He's always making 1/12 scale stuff on his 3D printers, and he made a Sky Striker with the working wing mechanism, and then he did it like the HasLab one where it was 2 separate mechanisms. He made a Night Raven, he made a Rattler, he made sharks and this and that, and a Cobra bunker and all sorts of crazy stuff. He's making a freaking 1/12 scale Terrordrome right now. But when I saw his Night Raven, if you think about like the normal size of a 118 scale Night Raven here,
Yeah.
When I saw his 112 scale Night Raven, it was lying at the foot of his queen size bed, and it took up the whole foot of his bed.
That's what is that? 3 feet, 4 feet? What is that? 4 feet?
Massive. I have some pictures of it, and at some point I'm going to get Steve on, and that's when we're really going to break down like how far can you actually go with 112 scale.
Yeah, I don't think
of all these vehicles that we know, because that's absurd, man. It's literally like huge.
Well, just like Black Series, they talked about that. They said they scaled out what a X-Wing would be, and they said it was just too crazy. So
yeah,
G.I. Joe is going to run into that. Classified is going to run into that too. I don't think they can do a Night Raven.
Right.
Sky
and
Striker,
you can do your armadillos and your Wolverines and your Cobra flight pods and your Vamps, and you can do this small stuff, and that's all well and good. I'm sure they could do a Silver Mirage and a Dreadnought Swamp Fire and stuff like that. But you're not going to get Sky Strikers. You're not going to get Night Ravens. You're not going to ever see a friggin' Terradrome unless you get it from like 3D printers and stuff like that. It's just, I don't see it.
Yeah, I don't see it either, but I don't know. I've talked to other people, but I mean, I really don't want a classified Night Raven or a Sky Striker. I don't want something that big. Give me things like the Vamp, the Shark, Polar Battle Bear, things like that. And the Wolverine is what I really want. The Wolverine was one of my favorite toys.
Yeah.
As a kid, I bought it in Gemco back in the day when it came out. You remember Gemco? Did you guys have a Gemco?
Not here, no, but I haven't always been here. So I want to address this real quick. So Doomed Huh says, I'm still thinking Hasbro may distribute Haya's figures. No, they won't. G.I. Joe is Haya's only line that doesn't have U.S. distribution. That's right. And we were talking about this previously. Why start a new line when they've outsourced 375 to 2 other companies? That's the word is that's why, because they gave Haya Joe in Asian markets. That was it. So that's also why you're not going to see Haya make one of these frickin' super awesome type vehicles for Joe, because Hasbro's doing it. If you want to break it down to brass tacks, if Super 7 is going to do 118 scale vehicles and playsets, which they absolutely are, you can put a modern figure in all these old vehicles, because that's what I have in most of them anyway. So it doesn't, I don't need 4 companies doing vehicles for one line. That's crazy. And then Michael says a Hasbro Osprey would sell for $300. Maybe, but this is the whole feast or famine thing. Like, I get the criticism and I get the complaints, right? God knows I can be critical of stuff, but at the same time, don't we allow it? Right? Yeah, I mean, like, we allow it. We vote with our wallets. If this stuff's going to be that expensive just because it has a Hasbro stamp on it, I wouldn't buy an Osprey for $300. I want to see one, but I wouldn't buy it.
So if they make the killer whale again, what would you think the price point would be on that?
In 118 scale?
Yeah, 118. Yeah, there's no way they're making it for classified. I think it'd be way too big. And I love that, man. I played.
So the Sky Striker was what, 229, right? It was like 230.
Yeah, 230, and it came, but that was a Hasbro, right? So it came with like
the vehicles and the stand and all that stuff. But I mean, the whale's massive, man.
Yeah,
I would probably say the same price, but I generally try to be optimistic as much as I'm known for screaming in my car. I try to be generally optimistic about that stuff until I know otherwise. But prices are one of those things. Like, prices can wax and wane. A lot of it depends on the economy, how well a company's doing, and things like that. Like,
that's true.
It's not like, if it's $300 right now, they would charge $400 for it in 6 months. I mean, they might not. You don't know. So,
yeah. Hey, what blows me away about that Super 7 stuff is that he said they're going to try to keep it at $20 like they do the reaction figures.
Yeah, and,
so
and
then,
that's
but then you think, well, are you overcharging me for reaction figures? So those things are $20. Those things should be like seriously like $12.
10?
Yeah, $15 max. I'm talking max.
And
$20 is just like, why are you paying $20 for this? Like it's 5 POA, man.
And again with the Walmart retro 4-inch, I hate calling it that, with that exclusive Walmart modern line. Those weren't expensive. They were what, $14.99, $15.99?
Yes.
They weren't expensive.
Were they even that much, or were they $12.99 or something like that? God, I can't remember.
The Hiss was, I want to say the Hiss was $25.
Yeah, the vehicles were all $24.99 because I got them all. I got the both Hiss tanks, and they had the Ostriker and the Fang, and I got them all. That's one that I want, and that they should be teeing up for classified. That should be easy to do. The Fang and classified. It's not that big.
The Fang, the Claw. You could even do all the little battlefield accessories like the machine gun defense unit. You could do the pack rats. Like do the all sorts of stuff like that. You could crank that shit out. Jim Margo, go ahead.
Oh, sorry, go.
Nope.
No, I was saying that's what I think a lot of collectors want, was like, some of these smaller things that to put in your dials, instead of just having just your figures, shoulder to shoulder like a Japanese subway train. You could actually put some things, alongside with it to give it a little bit more depth, and so.
Yeah. Jim Largo says now with better quality options like Fresh Monkey Fiction, Marauder Gunrunner, Delta 17, on and on and on. I think Hasbro is in too little, too late territory. I don't disagree with that. I don't.
But
I will honestly say, if they rolled out a new figure subscription service tomorrow, I would do it. I would. And I would not regret it immediately.
but
would not regret it immediately. Possibly down the road.
Would they give you the same things you already have, right? So would you want that? They're just repackaging the same stuff you already have in your collection. How many collectors would want that, right? So
I don't
do something different.
I don't know.
Do something different.
The only thing that I don't want to say hopeful, but I was semi-impressed with, impressed being a weird term when we're talking about discretionary spending on little plastic dollies, but that there are discussions and plans in place. And again, plans change, right? Just like with Sergeant Savage was canceled before the first line even hit the freaking stores, right?
Yeah.
It's nice to see that there are conversations being had about getting G.I. Joe to the level of Star Wars, where you have 3 different options. You have some kind of a retro, you have some kind of a modern, and then you have a 6-inch. I did appreciate that, because looking at it from a high level overview, I was like, that's actually really smart. But guys like, Jim here, Wilhelm, and many other people also have points where, just like I said earlier, Hasbro's not missed at Joe Fest, and it's not that they won't go, they're not allowed to go. So if Emily and Lenny aren't going to tell you anything because they're corporate types and they do what the corporate speak says to say. They toe the line, and I get it, right? I've been a service member for a long time, and I have never once talked shit about a sitting president. As much as I may have wanted to, I won't do it, right? Because we just don't.
Yeah.
They're not allowed to go to Joe Fest, but they're not missed because you have all these other lines. So I see the argument on both sides of the street, but at the same time, like, we're really sitting around like arguing first world problems.
Yeah.
So,
hey, when you say they're not allowed by Joe Fest, or they're not allowed by Hasbro?
Hasbro, their bosses wouldn't let them go.
Oh, really?
You didn't know that?
I had no idea.
Come on, you know everything.
Well, I've never been to Joe Fest, so
okay.
I just started collecting G.I. Joe when Classified came out. So
Understood.
I got back into GI Joe. So I've been
Well,
at it for a long time.
Classified is starting to get a larger foothold at Joe Fest as far as on the GI Joe side. But Joe Fest is kind of turning more into like that whole, independent lines of spiritual successors to a real American hero, which I really dig.
Yeah.
So this year at Joe Fest, I was speaking with Corey, and Corey and I, right, he was the designer Corey, right? So he works for Skeletron now, and Corey and I were kind of talking like, this, that, and the other thing, and someone else had already told me some of this, but Corey said like they really, really tried to go to Joe Fest 22 and they were told no. And then they tried even harder to go to Joe Fest this year. And their bosses basically said, you don't have an exclusive to sell there. Like, what is their attendance compared to, say, a San Diego Comic-Con? There's no money in it for us. You can't go. And it was boom, boom, boom. It was that fast. So,
wow.
I don't even want to say it sucks because, again, not missed, but I can see from a large corporation perspective, they want to go to like the hipster friggin' thing like San Diego Comic-Con and, sell Serpentor or Mindbender or whoever the frick it was, that's what they want to do. And that's fine, but I think this is for you. Killamagwai sends a $2 super chat. Thank you very much, Fizz Gig, Killamagwai. And I came here for the Toy Guru, so I don't know if that's Chaz the Toy Guru or if we're talking about Scott Knightlick, because Scott Knightlick is not here. That dude is not here. I don't think there's enough room in here for all of us and Scott Knightlick's ego. So I think that was for
ending. You. Masters of the Universe is ending. It's ending again. It's ending again.
Yeah, well, he was also the dude that said Masters won't ever sell at retail again. Right? When they were doing Matty Collector, he said Masters will never sell in retail and neither will Ghostbusters. And as soon as Matty Collector was kind of done away with and they lost the license to Ghostbuster, both of them showed back up in retail, which is kind of weird, don't you think?
Yeah, and then recently he was saying that, they're not going to be selling any more Masters of the Universe at retail, but after that, I think what's his name? Geek Dad Life went to the German, whatever the con was for where Masters of the Universe was. And they said, no, we have more stuff to come. Here's this, and he got, the down low on all bunch of new stuff. And I've seen new stuff at the store. So, I mean, I don't know. He keeps on saying that the line's going to end, but it just seems to keep going. But he'll be right someday, right?
Yeah. Judge Dreads is talking about, I could not be more pissed. I only tried them because a Toy Channel is saying they were okay, who are also our scum. Dude, who are we talking about? Maybe I missed it. And I'm sorry, guys. I see all of you in the chat. I'm trying to keep up with it, but we're also trying to have an engaging conversation that everybody wants to get in on. But yeah, Judge Dreads, if you're still here, man, put in the comment now or in the chat, like, what are you pissed about? What are you talking about? Oh, yeah. Matt Rubin says, I remember the debate between Scott Knightlick and Michael French. Wow, yeah, that was
brutal.
And I don't know Scott Knightlick. I've never met Scott Knightlick. I know Michael French, and obviously I was biased right off the bat, and that dude was like dodging and weaving, and I just wanted to like reach through the screen and just pop his eyes out, but whatever. Here's a question. Where do both of you guys get all your action figures news and spoilers? You both are awesome at it and always on point. Chaz?
Well, you know what? I'm not any like super sleuth myself. So I mean, people are way cool, and if they want to tell me some things or show me some things because they want people to know about it, then I'm just going to relay the information. I'm only successful with that because people, are super cool, and they're for the quote community, and they want the stuff to get out or whatever. So if I get some information, I get excited by rumors and leaks and stuff like that. That's just me. I love it. I used to I used to read the National Enquirer all the time, so that's my personality. So if I get some information, man, and it's free to give out, then hey, man, I'm gonna tell people about it. So it's exciting when I get some new stuff. I hear something or whatever. If I don't know for sure about it, like if I'm not sure about the source, or I'll ask around and go, hey. So I know other people, and I'll say, hey, what do you think about this or that? And if it's kind of like, oh yeah, it seems like it's legit, from a couple different sides, and I'm like, okay, yeah, let's put it out there. But I don't know. I mean, it could be totally wrong, but
Yeah.
luckily, it's my info so far has been good. I saw the leaked list, the listings for the last classified wave that showed that it was a December 1st release. So I'm like, oh, that showed the wave. I said, put it out there. Hey, these are coming out December 1st, that, this and that. But it's nothing that I do. It's just if people are really cool and they want to share some information to me and I share with everybody else, it's on them. The credit's not to me. I just put it out there if I get some good stuff.
And same goes for me. People send me stuff. Sometimes it's something as simple as, hey, there's this new side-scrolling G.I. Joe game coming out that like an article just came out 5 minutes ago. Go look at it. And then boom, I'll do a video on it because it's one of those, if you don't do it now, it's irrelevant in 2 weeks because everybody already knows. So exactly. I'll do that. But I don't troll like websites and social media and things like that. So I'm kind of the same. I rely on people to share stuff with me because they want to help me get it out. This recent video that I just did, which is the first one of its kind that I've ever done, and I was very leery about doing it, and I sat on that stuff for several weeks. As soon as I did that, the Triple T Cup video, when I was like, yeah, see, I friggin' told you a year ago, and people beat the shit out of me about it, and look, it's true. As soon as I put that video out, some dude messaged me and said, hey, and just gave me everything. But again, like, you and I have discussed it, Chaz, and a bunch of us in that kind of space discussed that a lot of these leaks are done intentionally. And
100%.
It's not like it can really be proved, but we all know it's intentional. It's to drum up the hype and keep everybody in, YouTube and social media talking about this stuff. So, when some guy came to me and was just like, boom, 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 just dropping all this stuff, I went to a guy that I know. He's a friend of a friend. He works for Hasbro, not out of Providence. Wink. I'm not going to say what he does. And I asked him, don't break your NDA, but tell me, like, am I on or am I off? And he said, you're not off. And I said, okay, cool. And then I still sat on it for over another week. I talked with Mike from What's on Joe Mind kind of about it. I didn't really like tell him all the info I was given, but I was like, hey, some guy came to me and he gave me all this stuff. And he's like, yeah, I get that every now and again too. And I was like, I really don't know what to do with it. And, so Irizarry and I discussed it. I discussed it with Ryan from 3POA. Like, so behind the scenes, there were discussions like, how do you feel about this? Like, do you feel lukewarm? Do you think, but yeah.
Well, yeah, and who knows if it's right, it's right. If it's wrong, it's wrong. Whatever. It's out there, and as long as you come out and you're from an honest position where like, hey, this information was given to you. You're not clickbaiting or something like that. Hey, man, I tell everybody, hey, take it with a grain of salt. This is what they said to me. I don't know if it's true, but
well, and that's why I spent like the first 5 or 6 minutes, like, understand that just because it's discussed, like G.I. Joe 1995 Battle Corps Rangers doesn't mean it's going to happen, right? It's just like, you can be wrong that one time and people are just they're going to come at you with the pitchforks. But Matt Rubin says something really nice here and says, people give guys like you and me all this info because we're laid back about it and we don't pressure anybody. Yeah.
That's cool. And I got to give a shout out to Bobby V from B's Battleground. He has a YouTube channel and surveillance board because a lot of times they're tagging me on information because they're like East Coast, and then I'm waking up like 5, 6 in the morning to start working. I got all these messages. They're like, oh my God, this, that. So those guys are freaking terrific, and they're always like hooking me up with letting me know some information that I put out there too on like news that's coming out, stuff like that. So
Yeah,
shout
and
out to those guys.
the Michael from Toy Habits like hit me up, and he was like, "Hey man, like, you know, can I share this? Can I put it in an article? Do you want to come on the show and all this stuff?" And I was like, "You can do whatever you want with it, dude. Like it's out there now, you know." So it's
Yeah,
kind of cool that people are still cool like that.
well, Michael and Toy Sources from Toy Habits are freaking way cool.
Yeah.
Put out the information, and they're like, they always give proper credit, and they're, you know, hey, what about this or that, this and that. Same with the Mega J Retro, awesome guy.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of cool people, you know, in the toy collecting community and GI Joe community. So there's a lot of, but for every crappy people like Cuck Island, there's, you know, 100 good people out there. So
Yeah, no, absolutely. Shane is asking, has anyone in here tried the Joe role-playing game? I have not. Chaz, have you?
no, is it for the phone, or is it actually is that the one that's come out on the what's that other
It's the card game.
Nintendo Switch?
No, the actual card game that just came out, not that one.
Oh, that's that role playing game or whatever.
Yeah, I forget what it's
No,
called.
I haven't.
Please,
You know, I
forgive me.
haven't played video games or board games like that forever. So I'm so busy, and I got girls, so they don't want to play that crap.
Oh, I play video games all the time when I'm not staring into this thing or, you know, doing my army work. I'm like just gaming it up. I know you got to go in a minute, but David Warren Hernandez is asking, what do you guys think about Steve's Toys doing 3D printable Mothership at the same time as Super 7's campaign? Do you have any thoughts on that?
Oh, I didn't even know that. I had no
Oh
idea.
yeah, he's rendering it. That's all he's doing. He's rendering it. He hasn't done anything with it. But
rendering it for 6-inch scale.
Yeah, no, for 118, the same scale as Super 7's. But Steve and I were talking on the phone the other day because the unproduced 118 scale GI Joe train, he made one for himself, and then, like, you know, he sells files of stuff that he builds because it's his work. He builds it. Yeah. But he made me one of the trains, and yes, I paid for it. And we were kind of talking about this whole Mothership thing, and he's like, I'm not gonna, he backed it. So like, I'm gonna dispel that right now for anyone who's listening. Steve did back Super 7's Mothership. He and I were talking about it. He's like, I want to see it succeed, but if it doesn't, it's still a cool idea, and then I can offer it to people to print it themselves. But I think his plan is to only really like move forward with it in earnest if Super 7's fails, because they could hit him with a cease and desist. So he's, you know, Steve's smart about that.
Did you back it, the Mothership?
I don't want to say yes, and I don't want to say no. I put one in the cart just to see what the total damage would be, and it's still sitting in a cart, but I haven't done anything. So
yeah, the
yes,
prices,
no.
The shipping is the killer. The shipping's a killer on that, man.
But you know, a flat $100 shipping it's another money-making venture, because you know they're going to ship a couple just like 2 zip codes away. That's not $100. You know, so yeah, I don't.
Yeah, it's cool. I just can't get something that I already back all of the vintage collection Star Wars HasLabs, and I got the Millennium Falcon, and I got the Jabba sail barge. So I can't get any more big stuff. My wife's gonna kill me or divorce me or both.
So you have the Kitana?
Yeah, the Katana. Yep, I got that. I actually bought that aftermarket, man. Paid an arm and a leg because I was in the middle of moving. I'm like, I don't know if I'm gonna have room for it. There's too much stuff going on, so I didn't back it. And then later on, I'm like, oh my god! And you know, I didn't mind paying aftermarket for that one because I think it was only. They said 10,000 made, or I think it's closer to like between 8 and 10,000 worldwide. So I don't think that thing is ever going to be a bad buy.
No,
so
I saw one at Joe Fest in the box, and my wife and I, we were just walking past a vendor, and I stopped and I backed up, and I was like, babe, and I'm pointing at this, you know, like 5 foot something massive
Oh.
box. And I'm like, you know what that is? And she's like, oh, that's the sail barge. And I'm like, yeah. Just looking at the shipper box, it's impressive.
It's
and I had to
crazy.
chuckle when you were talking about buying something aftermarket, because the memes that you just keep like slapping out there about the hiss tank and you know, the people in the clown makeup and wanting the hiss tank aftermarket.
Yeah, dude. Don't be that. I was that clown with the katana, and after that, I so much regret that I'm like, I'm never gonna do it again. I'll just back it, and for some reason, it doesn't fit in my collection, or I really don't want it. But I can't see myself not wanting it unless I have to, like, really, there's no space, or I gotta get rid of it for some other reason. But I love them, and especially Star Wars. I'm gonna get them all. So I just can't do this mother. But it's cool. I like the idea that you can open it up and it's kind of like a playset too. The only thing that detracts from it, I think, is that you can't put the top on it with the figures towards the outside edges standing, you know. So, and then sitting at the computers, I don't think you can close it with them sitting in there. I think you have to take them off the seats and all that. So, but you know, it's whatever, man. You close it up. You're not seeing it anyways. And if you want to open up and play with it and set things up, it's pretty cool. It's a cool idea.
Yeah, absolutely. Pendragon's here, and you're super late, dude. So punch and pie, you owe everybody. And he says Chads aren't laid back, Chads are extra. Sometimes. And then speaking of Bees Battlegrounds, right? You gave him a cool shout out. Joe leaks definitely feel intentional since there is zero presence on social media, and we get like one Joe live stream every 4 months. There isn't even a website currently.
And here's also is that I think they leak out figures for the same reason. Like, do you remember we hit that retro line, Walmart 6-inch retro carded ones?
Yep.
They just the Baroness was just one figure, as far as I could tell, was found in Washington. And these guys happen to have a small YouTube. I'm trying to remember what they're called, whatever. But that was the only one found. And then I think, you know, when they were pressed on it, one of the round tables, or one of the live streams, Emily was like, "Oh, well, it was a mistake. It came out." I think these things get leaked. They want the free social media hype. You know, it goes crazy. It gets all over Instagram, Facebook, and smart. You know, it gets everybody excited about it. So why wouldn't you?
It's free marketing. It absolutely is free marketing. Like, get some freaking dumb, you know, like perusing all the social media, and then somebody can drop something to you. And that's exactly what happened with me. The person that sent me that stuff, not even on my friends list, just boom, sent it.
Yeah.
So,
you know, and things like the prototype parts. I mean, they had the back when the bats came out, and before we even knew about the bats and the alley vipers for
the alley viper. Yep.
Yeah, they had all those parts that were found in the Hong Kong trash can. And it just, for the record, that was another one that Cuck Island was saying was fake or whatnot, and ended up being 100. You know, just bashing it. You know, I think it was putting down Chris from Full Force, and you know, he didn't say his name specifically, but
I put down Chris from Full Force all the time. So whatever.
Well, he was, you know, pretty much calling them, "Oh yeah, it's fake news, blah blah blah," and you know, 100% true. It was real information.
I don't put down Full Force all the time. I'm sorry, I don't do that. I think I've done it twice, but I don't really do it now.
But anyway, I think things like that are put out there on purpose. You know, that they found, I mean, really they're found in a trash can or something. But I think these things.
That's intentional. It's not like somebody is like, you know, like sitting on this trash can waiting for the goods, you know, because it's going to happen. Suka says Night Raven and Whale were on the marketing call questions. When was that, dude?
So they have these round tables.
Yeah, the only round table that I know anything about was when they, you know, just casually said 118's done. And then 3 hours later, they're like, but here's this, you know, Thunder Machine Soundwave with O-ring figures.
But they've never confirmed that. They've never said, "Oh, we're coming out." They may have been asked about it, but they've never said, "Oh, yeah, that's something that we're looking at." They've never said anything like that, as far as I know. And I'm pretty sure I've seen every single roundtable that's been published. So, but I'm sure they've been asked. I'm sure they've been asked about it, about like the whale and the size of it and all that.
I'm sure. Yeah, but the whale. Go back to the HasLab Sky Striker, and a lot of people, including me, I beat that drum all the time. Why do a Sky Striker? Do a new whale, because so many people have whales with busted vanes, missing depth charges. The freaking ski sled won't launch anymore. Like, make a whale. Like the whale has so many brittle parts. Do that.
Mine was so torn up that it was unrecoverable. So I would welcome a new one. I would get it for sure, because I love that. That hits my heartstrings. That, the Wolverine, things like that. I just love playing the Polar Battle Bear. That has to be on the slate to be made. The Polar Battle Bear, because it's nice and small, and if they're making the fair, they should be making that, and the Swamp Skier. So I think those things will be made, but yeah, for sure.
Jim Smith said he did a show about your video, and who's he, Jim? He did. If you're talking about Chris, yeah. Again, like I said, I don't.
Chris did.
Oh, did he?
Yeah, he did.
But I don't. Again, I don't watch that. So.
Yeah, it was today. He just basically said, "Hey, aside for it, I don't know if it's true or not. I don't have any personal information or confirmation about it, but it's not. I don't know. It could be true or not. He didn't have any information, because I guess he's been getting tagged. But I'm sure he's getting bombarded. Hey, is this true? Is this coming out? Is this about this? He's just said, well, I don't know.
And again, this is kind of why I didn't want to step in front of that train. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
that's why I sat on that stuff for weeks, because like, people are just coming out of the woodwork that I never talked to, and I don't know, and they're coming at me and asking me a million things, and I'm like, this is all I was like. I don't have price points of Super 7 O-ring figures, but I guess Brian Flynn talked about that. You know what I mean? Because again, I don't watch all these YouTube channels, so I don't know who's saying what.
Yeah,
it's just not my deal. But anyway,
yeah, I mean, Chris wasn't putting it down or anything. He was just
saying, I'm not worried about that. Look, and if the dude wanted to put me down, that's his opinion. You know what I mean? So I don't sweat people's opinions. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
it's all good. Like, so many people think Classified Falcon's great, and I think he's a piece of shit. So
it's horrible. That face is the most
you know what I mean?
Thing.
It's like that. Yeah, I don't care.
I've been railing on that.
That's fine.
Yeah. I've been railing on that Falcon face since it's come out, man. It is horrible. They should be sending a free new head sculpt to everyone that ever bought it. There should be like an exchange program where they open up in major cities. You line up and bring your old Falcon head for a new one.
Yeah. See, and Suka's saying a decent size of the leaks are from that marketing call, which were under NDA, so someone isn't afraid of a fight. It's funny, Suka, the person who sent me a message said something about not worrying about an NDA. Like, it was like the second line that was said to me. Like, I'm not sweating the NDA. So yeah. Anywho, Chaz, what do you got coming up? What's new? What's going on? You got any spicy memes coming?
Yeah. I make memes mostly situational, right?
Yeah.
So like jokes. If I'm the guy that, whenever we're just in a conversation and something comes up, I'll start bagging on somebody or making a joke because it's a situational. So if something comes up, I'll make a meme about it. If I'll see something, a lot of it's from my own personal experience. I'm going here, I'm like, oh, dude, this is hilarious. What's going on here? So I'll make a meme about it. So I don't know. Some days I'll go, a week without making a meme, and then I'll rattle off 5, 6 in a row or something.
And then people start jonesing for those Chaz memes. They're like, come on, man, give me some memes. Speaking of which, Hector from Elite Legend Toys and Collectibles is in the house. It's good to see you, dude.
Hey.
Yeah. Cool. And then Willie Lowe's here. Good to see you, Willie. Thanks for being here. Well, my man, I can't thank you enough for hanging out with me. I know you said you had an hour and we went a little long, so I apologize for that.
Well, that's all right, man. So yeah, I got to take off somewhere before the wife gets mad, but
Oh, good.
I appreciate it, man. I really appreciate you having me on. It's fun.
Yeah.
Sorry, I have to keep my identity secret still.
No, it's
so.
totally understandable, man. I get it, and it's it's cool because then we can be like WDW Pro, right? Just like this. It's the way to be,
There
right?
you go. There you go.
So anyway, again, thank you so much for hanging out with me and everybody in the chat. Thank all of you for being here with me and the meme maestro himself.
Thank you, guys. Thank you.
I'm gonna let you go ahead and you're gonna sign us out.
Later. That's it. That's all I got.
Have an awesome day.
No, yo.